In this edition of Business Talk, we will talk about global marketing success. Companies want to be successful by entering the global market. Global research is a tool needed in order to identify various factors to succeed globally, such as marketing needs, legal form, and other geographic consideration. Let's take a look on some brands who have successfully entered the global market in their own respective field.
In the late 1930s, the McDonald family moved from Manchester, New Hampshire to Hollywood, California, where brothers Richard and Maurice McDonald began working as handyman at motion picture studios. Their father, Patrick McDonald, opened the Air Dome, a food stand on Huntington Drive, Route 66, near the Monrovia Airport in the Los Angeles County, California, with hot dogs being one of the first items sold. Hamburgers were later added to the menu at a cost of 10 cents, with all-you-can-drink orange juice at 5 cents. The restaurant was renamed McDonald's Barbecue and had 25 menu items, mostly barbecue. In 1947, after the McDonald brothers realized that most of their profits came from selling hamburgers, they closed down their car hop drive-in to establish a streamlined system with a simple menu, which consisted of only hamburgers, cheeseburgers, potato chips, coffee, soft drinks, and apple pie. After the first year, potato chips and pie were swapped out for French fries and milkshakes. The car hops were eliminated, making the new restaurant a self-service operation. Richard and Maurice took great care in setting up their kitchen like an assembly line to ensure maximum efficiency. The restaurant's name was changed again, this time to simply McDonald's, in 1948. In 1952, the brothers decided they needed an entirely new building in order to achieve two goals: further efficiency improvements and a more eye-catching appearance. They collected recommendations for an architect and interviewed at least 4, finally choosing Stanley Clark Meston, an architect practicing in nearby Fontana. The new restaurant's design achieved a high level of noticeability thanks to gleaming surfaces of red and white ceramic tile, and two 25-foot yellow sheet metal arches trimmed in neon called Golden Arches design. Further marketing techniques were implemented to change McDonald's from a sit-down restaurant to a fast food chain. They used such things as turning off the heating to prevent people wanting to stay so long, fixed and angled seating so the customer would sit over their food, promoting them to eat faster, spreading the seats further apart so being less of a sociable place to dine in, and giving their customers branded cone-shaped cups, forcing them to hold their drink whilst eating, which would speed up the eating process. In late 1953, with only a rendering of Meston's design in hand, the brothers began seeking franchisees. Their first franchisee was Neil Fox, a distributor for General Petroleum Corporation. Fox's stand, the first with Meston's Golden Arches design, opened in May 1953 at Central Avenue and Indian School Road in Phoenix, Arizona. Their second franchisee was the team of Fox's brother-in-law, who opened their stand in August 1953 in Downey, California. The Downey stand has the distinction of being the oldest surviving McDonald's restaurant. The Downey stand was never required to comply with the McDonald's Corporation remodeling and updating requests over the years because it was franchised, not by the McDonald's Corporation, but by the McDonald brothers themselves to Williams and Landon. Ray Kroc joined the chain in 1954 and built it into an eventually global franchise, making it the most successful fast food corporation in the world. In 1954, Ray Kroc, a seller of Prince Castle brand multi-mixer milkshake machines, learned that the McDonald brothers were using 8 of his machines in their San Bernardino restaurant. His curiosity was piqued, and he went to take a look at the restaurant. He was joined by good friend Charles Lewis, who had suggested to Kroc several improvements to the McDonald's burger recipe. Believing the McDonald's formula was a ticket to success, Kroc suggested they franchise their restaurants throughout the country. The brothers were skeptical. However, the self-service approach could succeed in colder, rainier climates. Furthermore, their thriving business in San Bernardino and franchises already operating or planned made them reluctant to risk a national venture. Kroc offered to take the major responsibility for setting up the new franchises elsewhere. He returned to his home outside of Chicago with rights to set up McDonald's restaurants throughout the country, except in a handful of territories in California and Arizona already licensed by the McDonald brothers. The brothers were to receive 0.1% of gross sales. Kroc's first McDonald's restaurant opened in April 1955 at 400 North Lee Street in Des Plaines, Illinois, near Chicago. The Des Plaines interior and exterior was painted by master painter Eugene Wright. Eugene was asked to come up with a color scheme, and he chose yellow and white, with dark brown and red being secondary trim colors. Those colors would go on to become the colors of all McDonald's franchises. Once the Des Plaines restaurant had become operational, Kroc sought franchisees for his McDonald's chain. In 1956, he discovered that the McDonald brothers had licensed the franchise rights for Cook County, Illinois, to the Fredulac Ice Cream Company. Kroc was incensed that the McDonalds had not informed him of this arrangement. He purchased the rights back for $25,000, $230,400 today, 5 times what the Fredulacs had originally paid, and pressed forward. McDonald's grew rapidly from 34 restaurants in 1958 to 1,000 before the end of the decade. Boosted by steady growth, the company's stock began trading publicly in 1965. Their products and symbols would define the McDonald's brand, including the Big Mac, 1968, the Egg McMuffin, 1973, Happy Meals, 1979, and Chicken Nuggets, 1983. The chain continued to expand domestically and internationally, extending to Canada in 1967, reaching a total of 10,000 restaurants by 1988, and operating more than 35,000 outlets in more than 100 countries in the early 21st century. Growth was so swift in the 1990s that it was said a new McDonald's opened somewhere in the world every 5 hours. It effectively became the most popular family restaurant, emphasizing affordable food, fun, and flavors that appealed to children and adults.
Emily, you spoke with the co-founder of Airbnb yesterday.
Hey there, Eric. Yes, very intimate conversation with Nathan Wacharczyk, the CTO and co-founder of Airbnb with this company from the very beginning. We really focused on Cuba and Airbnb's efforts in Cuba. 2,000 hosts there so far. It's been a very quickly growing market for them. But the fastest growing market he talked about was China. We went in depth about the Chinese opportunity. Take a listen to what he had to say.
China as a country, as a source of travelers, is growing faster than any other country in the entire world, over 5x year over year. Incredible growth. And, you know, it's really an amazing thing. There's a growing middle class. Increasingly, the first thing they want to do is experience the world. Many of them have not left the country ever before. China now represents, is number one in terms of international tourism expenditure. It was $100 billion back in 2013. They estimated it would double again over 5 years. To put that in comparison, the next 2 highest are the U.S. and Germany, which are tied at $80 billion. So the future of international travel is really the Chinese tourist.
We talked about the sort of unicorns and decacorns that have been coming out of Silicon Valley and whether he feels that Airbnb has really made it sort of internally. And one of the things he said is, look, growth has been so unreal. I've stopped paying attention to the numbers. They're just so out of this world. He and the other 2 founders, Brian Chesky and Joe Gebbia, still do founders dinners on Sunday nights to try to get aligned ahead of the week, to try to make decisions move more quickly within the company. As for going public, he said that process hasn't started yet. Brian Chesky, the CEO, has said that will be a 2-year process. So I said, so is this going to be happening 2 years from now? And he kind of demurred, but said no process, no plans to go public as of now.
Emily,
that's what they all say.
Yeah, that's true. It is what they all say. What about regulation? Because at the very least here in New York City, we're familiar with some criticism of Airbnb. The Attorney General Eric Schneiderman has gone after the company. How do they respond to these kinds of questions?
And New York has been one of the most difficult markets for Airbnb, but this is something that they're facing all over the world. We specifically talked about the issue of people buying homes, and that should be homes, not Airbnb villas, in places like San Francisco, and renting them out long term, how big a problem that is. He said, look, the average rental is about 90 days a year. People just aren't doing that on a broad scale. But I asked him, do you want there to be some regulation, or should we expect you to police yourselves? Take a listen to what he had to say.
Tonight, there's about 400,000 guests staying in other people's homes. By summer, that number will be double. So huge volume. And so certainly, anecdotally, it doesn't surprise me that stories like this emerge. I do think they get more attention than they deserve. Not to say that they aren't problems, but I do think they are problems that can be addressed.
You know, one of the interesting things I asked him was, hey, do you think you could collaborate with Uber at all, or have you ever gotten together to talk about these issues? He said, absolutely not. We're 2 completely different companies. I thought that was sort of interesting there, but we're going to have a lot more great stuff coming out of the Bloomberg Technology Conference today. I'm very excited about Dick Costolo, who'll be kicking off the day for us. Everybody wants to know who the former Twitter CEO thinks should be the next CEO of Twitter.
I don't know. I mean, I just saw Travis on Instagram from Uber the other day. I can't remember what country he was in, but he said, here I am getting out of an Uber, about to go stay in an Airbnb. So maybe they're not going to be business partners, but they are like-minded. As far as Airbnb
But they're
goes,
certainly users.
you do wonder, could Airbnb be an acquisition target for a big hotel business, or for that hotel business, does it just compromise them in terms of regulation and what it would do to Airbnb's
There
model?
are precedents for this kind of thing. Emily, I'm thinking of Zipcar, for example, and Avis. Zipcar was one of the first companies that sort of created this asset sharing model that Airbnb has taken to a completely new level. But Avis bought Zipcar because they recognized we need to be in that business.
Right.
To your point, Stephanie, hotel company could come to the same conclusion about Airbnb. Get in there before it's too late.
I would be skeptical of that happening. When I talk to these guys, there is no doubt that they want this to be a big independent company. Marriott, for example, has a $21 billion market cap. Airbnb is reportedly raising funding at a $20 billion valuation. They are already there. They don't need to be bought by a hotel chain. And as Nathan said, the growth numbers, at least as far as he tells us, are unreal.
They don't need to be bought by anyone, but guess what? When a really pretty girl asks you out with a whole lot of dough, we've seen other CEOs say, yes, ma'am.
All right, Emily, we'll be seeing more of you today. Tons coming from the Bloomberg Technology Conference. Dick Costello and Marissa Meyer, and much more from San Francisco. Emily, thank you very much.
I'm introducing Decathlon, a French-based company who truly dominate the market worldwide, has seen a steady growth in India. Let us take a look at their origin, inception, and progress. The Decathlon was started back in 1976 in the beauty city of Lille. They eventually started expanding overseas after a decade by opening their franchise in Germany, Spain, Portugal, Italy, UK, China, India, and other nations. They have 1,500 plus stores in 49 countries currently. The company employs more than 87,000 staffs from 80 different nationalities. They own 20 brands under their belt, which offers products in all variety of sports. Furthermore, Decathlon is the largest sports goods retailer in the world. In recent times in India, the sporting industry has seen a drastic shift in terms of being a one-sports nation to a multi-sport viewing nation. The upsurge in participation and engagement has led brands to ply their trade in several parts of country, grow their business in sheer rapidly. In 2021, Decathlon achieved robust growth in its business driven by a very dramatic global sports market. Companies often think about being customer-centric, but Decathlon has gone a step further by putting their customers at the heart of their growth strategy. They have built the world's largest sporting goods company by championing a customer-centric approach through innovation, technology, and rapid expansion. Bearing countries' store locations with space constraints, Decathlon reserves a considerable portion of the space for visitors to try their products. This includes those who want to enjoy a friendly match of tennis or a bike ride around the store. The focus in providing explanatory customer experience. When the company noticed that the lack of space could be an issue for customers and store assistants to pack and unpack camping tents in the store, they introduced virtual reality. This innovation that earned them an award for customer experience excellence allowed customers to view the tent in real-life conditions. The smart cashless check-out process and visual merchandising within the store are two other tech-powered innovations, which has helped Decathlon improve its customer experience metrics.
In much of the world, chances are high that someone's first smartphone is usually a Samsung. The company has soared to the top with a reputation for cost-effectiveness, innovation, and quality in everything they make. But who was responsible for this? How did Samsung achieve success?
Businessman Lee Byung-chul. According to Samsung's founder, the Korean Hanja word Samsung means 3 stars. The word 3 meaning something big, numerous and powerful, while stars means everlasting or eternal, like stars in the sky. The store traded noodles, dried fish, fruit and vegetables, and other local produce in and around the city. They exported the goods to China. After the Korean War in the early 1950s, Byung-chul's grocery trading business also ventured into textiles, opening the largest woolen mill in Korea. Byung-chul's focus on industrialization helped revamp Korea's economy. During this fraught financial period for the country, the South Korean government nurtured domestic firms with easy financing and protected them from the competition. Samsung was among those braced by the chaebol, the support of large domestic companies, since the early 1960s, securing a string of loans and other business support. However, Samsung Electronics was eventually launched in 1969, opening electronic-focused divisions within the company. In 1971, Samsung Electronics started exporting one of its first electronic goods, black and white televisions. By the mid-1970s, Samsung ventured into washing machines and fridges, before creating and mass-producing color TVs, while continuing its black and white models. By the 1970s, Samsung launched subsidiaries including Samsung Shipbuilding, Samsung Heavy Industries, and Samsung Precision Company to be a part of these growing industries. They also started to invest in the chemical and petrochemical industries. In 1974, Samsung Electronics acquired Hankook Semiconductor, making them the market leader in memory chips in the early 1990s. A position they retained and improved upon, becoming the world's leading manufacturer of semiconductors. At the moment, even most Apple iPhones use Samsung memory chips. The 1970s saw Samsung start to export home electronic products abroad, and by 1978, it had produced 4 million black and white TVs, the most in the world at the time. That same year, Samsung opened its first overseas office in the US. In 1984, it exported its first VCRs to America. Then, they also changed their name to Samsung Electronics Company Ltd, and sales exceeded 1 trillion won, the equivalent of 3.4 trillion won today, approximately $3 billion. In 1987, Byung-chul died of lung cancer. Byung-chul's son, Lee Kun-hee, filled his father's position. Walking over controversy and corruption, he transformed Samsung into the global power it is today. He got frustrated with the reputation of making poor quality goods, and in 1993, Kun-hee told his employees to change everything except their wives and children. Because of this, the company experienced a major transformation, rebranding itself as a top player in the manufacturing of quality.
Lee Kun-hee also led the company to invest heavily in the development of smartphones. The Samsung Galaxy S, the company's first smartphone, was released in June 2010. The new phone was well received by the public, who compared it favorably to other popular Android-powered smartphones like the Nexus One and HTC Desire. Critics and news media alike praised the Galaxy S for its Super AMOLED display, but it also faced criticism for its subpar GPS features and deteriorating performance over time. Samsung has produced dozens of smartphones since the launch of the Galaxy S, each one outperforming the last in terms of new features and system upgrades. Some products like the Galaxy Note Edge achieved the utmost levels of success. Due to its curved screen edges, the 2014 release of the Galaxy Note Edge was distinctive. This curved screen technology has been incorporated into many phones that have been released since the first Edge, including the Galaxy S8 and S9. The phone, which at the time was viewed as more of a concept product, was nevertheless widely publicized and served as an inspiration for subsequent phones. The tablet features an 8-megapixel camera, an octa-core processor, and a 9.7-inch screen. Samsung has released a number of excellent tablets since the Tab S2's success, with the Galaxy Tab Active 3 being the most recent in 2020. With its most recent technological advancements enabling the release of foldable smartphones, the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold and the Galaxy Z Fold 2, Samsung has come a long way since the company's first smartphone was released. Samsung's current interest in AI is evidence that it has no plans to slow down in its effort to produce cutting-edge technology for the general public. The Galaxy S8 introduced Samsung's built-in AI system, Bixby, which functions similarly to Apple's Siri and already provides users with an AI experience. With its effort to integrate AI into people's daily lives, Samsung is now advancing further into the field of artificial intelligence. According to Samsung, it is now concentrating on the user experience and advantages of using AI, with a primary focus on the user rather than just the AI itself. Samsung will continue to try to embrace the use of AI within its upcoming devices. By 2022, Samsung intends to invest $22 billion in cutting-edge technology, with 5G and AI taking the lead. Samsung intends to hire 1,000 new scientists at AI-focused research facilities around the world as part of its research initiative. Overall projected investments in the coming future are supposed to reach over $206 million, and through 2023, these investments will be made. The company claims that this move will give it the opportunity to improve its position internationally in cutthroat markets like the chip market, while also giving it new growth prospects in next-generation telecommunications and robotics. The precise sums that Samsung Electronics will spend on each of the industries highlighted were not broken down. However, it emphasized once more that mergers and acquisitions are being thought about in order to consolidate technology and take the lead in the market. This means they are going back to their tried and true method of advancing their technology by acquiring new companies and startups. Have you already heard of the story of Samsung? And are there
Geely Auto. Its Geely global brand Geely Auto became the first Chinese auto brand which succeeded in selling more than 10 million units globally. Xinjiang Geely Holding Group was listed in 2022 Fortune Global 500 for the 11th consecutive year with a ranking of 229 after its last year revenues reached $55.86 million. Geely is now starting to feel the effects of the global part shortage. The Chinese car makers globally, February 2022 sales crashed 46% to 78,478 units compared to January 2022. Geely starts to feel effects of global chip shortage. Geely put the blame squarely on adequate supplies coming from the supplier of the Electronic Stability Program or ESP units. Although Geely did not directly name the affected supplier, it's believed that the Bosch is the largest supplier of ESP system of the China auto industry. ESP combines anti-lock braking and traction control and can detect vehicles skidding movement while actively counteracting them. It also incorporates functionalities such as hill start assist. The system is widely used to improve driver safety and comes standard in Geely's vehicles. The two main types of competitive advantage are low cost and differentiation. The early direction of the Geely strategy was a largely focus on penetrating its various markets through competing on price. Thought the ultimate global vision Li Shufu had for Geely remained on the cards. Although competing in international markets offers important potential benefits such as access to new customers, the opportunity to lower costs, and diversion of business risk, going overseas also poses daunting challenges. In conclusion, international competitiveness is very important for both producers and consumers. It helps to ensure that goods and services are produced at the lower cost of the customer have access to the lower prices. This leads increased purchasing power and a higher standard of living. Thank you.